Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Variety Sports Network production. This is the Next Left Turn, and this week we're at the crown jewel, or one of the crown jewels in racing, where the greatest spectacle in racing happens every year in May. We're back in Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400, a return to the Oval. Thank God.
It's like a 3-year layoff, I
Man,
think.
it was horrible, man. I like the road track at Indy, but not for NASCAR. I like it for the Indy cars. I like it for MotoGP. It's not bad for NASCAR, but this is an iconic track. They should be on the oval. If they want to race the road track, bring them back or do back-to-back weeks in Indianapolis and do the road track one week and then do the oval the next, however you want to do it. That's my little tangent for this one. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, back in Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400, the 30th anniversary. Every 10 years, the 24 car wins. So if you were looking into your crystal ball, you had the 24 car as the winner, and that didn't happen today. So spoiler alert, if you didn't watch the race, he didn't win. And Jeff Gordon was disappointed.
I got real close to putting money on him, too.
No, I'm glad you didn't, man.
Yeah, me too.
But I like that car you got in the background. That's
two-time Brickyard champion, Tony Stewart, Joe Gibbs Racing,
Indiana
old school. Yeah.
I mean, at his home track. But hey, I was excited for this one, Aaron. I think you were excited for this one a little bit. Obviously, very different racing than what we covered earlier in the year when we covered the Indianapolis 500. Cars are very different. Speeds are very different. But we did see some similarities. I don't know if you noticed it or not. So this was the first time this gen car has been on the oval. So racers did get some practice. Larson obviously has had a ton of practice on the track this year, so he's very familiar with how the track runs this year. But these different aero package on these cars than what they'd seen on this track before, wider tires than they'd seen before. So this is almost like a new track again, except, it wasn't a new track. It was just a new setup on the track. So I was very interested to see how this race was going to go. I wasn't concerned about tires at all. I wasn't concerned about fuel. I was concerned about the aerodynamic package and how we were going to see passing on this track, considering that has been one of the biggest complaints out of the NASCAR drivers this year was you can't pass on the big tracks. The cars just don't have it. That's that competitive edge to balance out the races. Aaron, did you foresee it being a problem, or even as you watched the race, did you think it was a problem? I thought the passing was there most of the time.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, and I like, too, that they had a 50-minute practice on this track. So I thought that was really good for the drivers. And it's funny because I'm a Chase Elliott fan, and I picked Denny Hamlin. You're not a Chase Elliott fan, and you picked Chase Elliott. But I only picked Denny Hamlin because I thought NASCAR was trying to make Denny Hamlin win because he had it circled on his calendar for this crown jewel because Chase Elliott was faster than him in practice, but Chase Elliott started third instead of second. I was like, oh, okay, a little advantage me, as I saw it on Twitter from a NASCAR fan. So I was like, yes, Denny Hamlin. But no, the passing was great. I love the Bubba Wallace one where he's blocking Joey Logano. I was like, yeah, get a little taste of your own medicine, Joey.
And Joey came across on his radio after that, and he said, that's it. That's his free one. So I was kind of hoping that was going to turn into something, and it didn't. But that's later in the race. We'll get.
There was one thing that didn't happen, which I thought is Kyle Busch and Corey LaJoy. Kyle Busch went on Pat McAfee show, called Corey LaJoy a liar. He was going to pretty much get his, and he didn't get it this race. Very interesting.
Well, you can't make that statement and then do it the next race. That wouldn't be in his style. He has to wait for his most opportune time when it's going to do the most damage or when he's completely out of it. So, like, if he ends up not getting into the playoffs, I think he will be on a quote-unquote revenge tour for the last 10 weeks of the season, and he will ruin anybody's seasons who he felt messed with his season this year.
I mean, when you get an opportunity with Corey LaJoy, when he's 15th, 16th, I mean, Kyle Busch is never going to really be around that area.
With the way he's ran this year, he has been quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just to be fair. I mean, I would agree with you, like 18 out of his 19-year career, you're right. But this year has been the year where he's in the middle of the pack more times than not. But that's this year only. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen, and we will start with stage one. Hey, I got it right this time. The computer didn't bleep out on me like last week. So again, I got a short clip here to show the start of the race. We got Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin leading the field to the green flag, and here we go.
Did you notice there wasn't like a lot of people there?
NASCAR race doesn't draw a lot of people at IMS. It's
Really?
more made for TV. Cars are too slow. Nice clean for the first 2 set of turns. We already see 3 wide racing early in the race.
Tyler Reddick in the 45, surging ahead of the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, that might not have been a good thing with the 3 wides today.
Dude, we saw that a lot today. And this is where I was like, oh, this almost looks like IndyCar, because they are just, the cars were darting on this track much more than we are used to seeing them dart on other tracks. And when I say that, I'm talking about the big cuts out. I mean, we see it at Talladega and we see it at Daytona, you know, on the last lap when they're fighting for position. But we were just seeing this in the middle of runs, almost like it was open wheel racing down the backstretch, coming out of 2 or coming down the front stretch out of 4. I mean, we saw the cars just leaving the draft, pulling out and going for it. And that to me made this race more exciting than normal, because I'll be honest with you. And you guys, if you've watched the show all year, you know I'm a big Indianapolis 500 fan. You know I grew up in Indy around racing. And I was away from NASCAR for a long time. My first ever NASCAR race was the Brickyard 400 in 96, I believe was my first. It was either 95 was my first or 96 was my first. I can't remember which one. I want to say it was 96 because Earnhardt won in 95. And I don't think I would forget that. I'm pretty sure Jarrett won my first year.
You are correct, sir.
Okay. That's what sounds like. I think that's what it was when I went. But as I said, I have to check my dad, because my dad's job got him tickets. So he got to go to, like, I don't know, the first 5 or 7 Brickyards on top of going to the Indy 5, or on top of being offered tickets for the Indy 500 as well for all those. So I benefited from that a little bit when I was a kid. Dad got to take me every couple of years. But the race was very, very boring for NASCAR because the cars just weren't fast enough. The laps were really, really long, and you can't see across the track. They don't have good video representation of what's going on the other side of the track. So to your comment of it doesn't look like there were a lot of people there. They get 70 to 100,000 people. That's a good showing at that track for NASCAR, because it doesn't get blacked out like IndyCar does. At least not to my recollection from when I lived up there. It might, and I just always watched it at night. I can't remember, but it's a much better race to watch on TV. It's not like IndyCar where you're seeing cars every 15 to 20 seconds, worst case scenario. And NASCAR, because they don't get that spread out, it's, you know, you may have to wait 35 seconds for a car to go back by you. It's just not a great track visually for a spectator, in my humble personal opinion. Now, if you're the best place you want to sit, and I get the same opinion as I do with the Indy 500, you want to sit either in the short chutes or around one of the turns, because then you can see the cars coming in and exiting. And then if you're in the short chute, like I love sitting in the short chute between 3 and 4, because if you're sitting at the top of the grandstands, you're literally seeing them come down the backstretch through 3, through the short chute, through 4, and then you can see them, the tail end of them running down the front stretch. Those are like your best spots. If you're sitting on the front stretch or the back stretch, you're just kind of in no man's land, and it makes it less enjoyable, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, that's no bueno.
But I prefer this race on TV, hands down. Like, I would much rather go to Bristol or Martinsville or tracks like that in person. This is a track that I prefer to watch on TV.
Yeah, I'm the same with Pocono. You have to be an RV for Pocono.
Yeah, you got to be in the middle of the track where you can just kind of keep your eyes going like a groundhog. But again, anyways, it was still a good race. Like, it was a good return. I thought the 7th gen car did what it was supposed to do there. I think it made it more exciting. I had absolutely zero qualms with this race. I really did.
They did a lot of strategic racing in this race.
Early on, too.
Which is pretty good, yeah.
So who was the first guy to pit on it? So anyways, hold on. We'll get there in a second. So we start the race. You guys saw the clip. It's you got a lot of side-by-side racing the first 3 to 4 laps on restarts during this race, which is good. Made things exciting. A lot of guys jumping out and pushing 3 wide. heading into turn 1, heading into turn 3. You didn't see that as much in turn 2 and turn 4, obviously, because of the short shoots and you don't have much space there to get that speed back up. But it was a lot of good racing. We didn't see a whole lot of action up front. Elliott, runs Hamlin a little bit inside the first 10 laps. It's like lap 7 or lap 8. They kind of go at it after Hamlin was in second, and Elliott gets to the door and it pulls on by him and takes second place. And it's a very calm race. There's not a lot going on. We get some early pit stops. I don't remember who pitted first at 20. I think it was AJ Allmendinger. He just didn't have to control the car. It was so tight he couldn't make his turn, so he pitted on like lap 20, and then out of nowhere, Denny Hamlin pits at like lap 25. And this was not strategic by any means. There was something wrong he didn't like with the car, I think. Aaron, I mean, this was your guy. What happened there at lap 25? Why did he take that early pit?
Yeah, I think it was something with his tires. I don't know if it was one of his tie rods or just maybe one of his tires was a little bit loose. I was a little shocked myself. And I was even shocked with your guy, Chase Elliott, when he went into pit. I was like, that's a little odd. I didn't really hear much on that communication. But, yeah, definitely a little nervous on the Denny Hamlin one.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. You had like just a few cars come down in the early 20s, and then you started seeing cars come down about lap 33 to 35, which they said the fuel window for this track was going to be 40 to 44 laps. Tires were not going to be as big of an issue. But if you know anything about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, when those tires start falling off, your times on your laps get worse and worse. And it's because there's not a lot of banking in this track. It's almost flat. I mean, it's not a very banked flat track at all. So you're going to eat up those tires a little bit worse. But we get through all the first round of pits by lap 42. And by the time they cycle everything through, your boy Hamlin's in the lead. And you're looking pretty. And Kyle Larson's only a half second back. Now, Kyle Larson was in this race the whole time. He did do some dropping back and moving up and back and forth. But he was a very consistent force in this race. And what was cool was he ran that Aero McLaren paint job that he didn't get to run at the 600 or the 373 that we called it when NASCAR called that race off when he tried to pull the doubleheader back in Memorial Day weekend. And so it was different. I mean, it wasn't like a massive difference. I mean, it was just there was a little bit of orange on the car. But it was a tribute to him. And, he was a man on a mission this week with the way the Indianapolis 500 went for him and then not even get to run in the Coca-Cola 600 earlier in the season. We knew Larson was going to be a man on a mission and with something to prove. But Denny Hamlin, man, he looked so good. He was fast today. He was fast in practice. He was there. I mean, he was a contender the entire time. Like there was not a point in the race really where he was out of it, except for when he dropped back to, I believe he fell all the way back to 36 when he took that pit stop on lap 25.
Yes.
But he worked his way back through the field. Good strategy, good pit stops, and luck goes a long way in NASCAR, let's be honest.
Yeah. And everyone that I was watching between where it was like Dale or the Bumper podcast that's on Dirty Mo and just everyone over there, they were all saying Denny Hamlin. It's all circled. He's gonna have a fantastic race this weekend. I was like, all right, cool. So when I saw he won the first stage, I was like, yes, let me get my second dub this season.
Yeah, I haven't gotten one yet, unfortunately. But no, he looked like he had it, and he had some bad karma. The last time they raced on the oval out here, I think he ran out of gas or had a tire go down. I think it was a tire went down with 7 laps left when he was leading, and that took the win away from him. So they knew they had a good car. They knew what they were going to do with this track. He's trying to get this last one because he hasn't won at Indy yet to add to his crown jewel collection because he's won the 500 at Daytona. He's won the Southern 500. He's won the other big races. This is one that he still hasn't gotten. But while we were going through the first set of pit stops, we had a couple penalties. Actually, I think there were 3 penalties. As we mentioned, Chase Elliott got one. Brad Keselowski got one. And then Austin Cindric also got one for speeding. Now, real quick, let's talk about the Chase Elliott penalty and the Brad Keselowski penalties.
I've never seen Chase Elliott this mad on the comment.
Ever, man. Like, he was super pissed.
But I don't know why, though, because he was really off the white line. You're really on the track, sir.
Oh, yeah, he got all the way up on the short track.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find a good clip of this to show everybody, and I wanted to, but there's nothing out there that was already published that I could use. So we're gonna explain this to you. When you're coming out of the pits at Indianapolis, there's a lane that you need to drive to get up to speed to get back onto the track. But you cannot get back on the track after turn one. You have to stay in this re-entry lane all the way after turn two and then jump back on the track on the backstretch. Well, where the short chute is, there's usually grass between the track and the pit exit lane. Well, there's a portion of the short chute where there is no grass and you can get back on the track. Well, apparently NASCAR had sent out some emails verifying what the proper re-entry rules were, and I guess
the video really didn't give it any justice. They sent on a Saturday. It's like a 16-second video. I was like, that doesn't make any sense, but all right.
But basically, there's two sets of lines that are a car length wide in the short chute there. And the rule that NASCAR was trying to explain and be clear on was you can't pass up onto the actual track until you've gone through turn two. And Chase Elliott said on his radio, I mean, he was hot on his radio. Can't even repeat it on the show because it just would be improper for the young children who listen to the show. But he said he had clarified this with NASCAR that he could use the track in such a way to pick up his speed. And basically it's just making a big arch. Well, he came all the way back onto the track, not like anybody's on that part of the short chute anyways. Not if they're running a good race, because that's not smart aerodynamically to hit turn two. But he came all the way onto the track and then dove back down. He gets the penalty. Larson actually does nearly the same thing, but he doesn't get all four tires across the white line. He just got his right sides out. And apparently Keselowski did the same thing. They both get hit for drive-through penalties. Austin Cindric gets caught for speeding, so he gets a drive-through penalty as well. So all those guys end up working back into the field. And then it's pretty calm. It was a 50-stage lap, or it was a 50-lap stage. So that's like lap 42, I said. Or that was when pit cycles ended. So the penalties came through shortly after that. And with 2 laps left, it looks like an engine blows up. It's Chris Buescher. He comes in his Castrol 17 car that looked really neat. I'm not going to lie. The paint job, I thought the paint job was nice. I know it's a paint job that Keselowski runs from time to time, but it looked good on the 17 car. You see a lot of smoke coming out of the back of the car. There's no caution there, though, because he gets all the way down to pit lane, so the race doesn't stop. And with all this happening, Denny Hamlin gets the win for stage 1, picks up the stage points that go into the playoffs. Kyle Larson ends up second. He gets some points there if needed. He's already still in first. Ryan Blaney third, William Byron fourth, Tyler Reddick fifth, Michael McDowell sixth, Alex Bowman seventh. 8th was Ty Gibbs, 9th Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Noah Gragson up there with another 10th place finish for another stage this year. I think he's gotten 10th in stages more than anybody else this year.
I can see that.
Feel, at least since we started the second half of the season, he always seems to be right around the 10th place position. So if there's a prop bet out there, ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't hurt to throw that Noah Gragson's going to finish 10th in one of the stage finishes. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not a betting expert here, so I'm not giving out actual gambling advice by any means. But, we do this show every week, so I see it. I mean, you might want to lay $10 on them. They finish as 10th at the end of the stage somewhere down the road if you can.
Well, I know. I'm not going to say who won or whatever, but I think one of the bets was under 4 Chevys making the top 10 at the end of the race. Whoever put in that bet, did not happen.
No, did not. This was a nice mixed up finish at the end of this race. But let's start talking about so we head into stage 2. And this has either been the most boring stage every race this year, or it seems like this is where all the action's picked up. A little bit of both this week. We got some action in stage 2. It wasn't super exciting, but we got some action in stage 2, some stuff we don't normally get to see. Let's get.
And it didn't rain. It didn't rain.
God.
First race in I think like 8 to 10 races. I think it's rained.
It feels like it. I don't know if it's been that bad, but it feels like we've had rain for at least 6 races straight. And I'm sure that's not at, but it feels like that. So, we're going through pit stops now at the end of stage 1. Hamlin takes most of the field down pit lane. Ty Gibbs obviously goes with him, but he only takes 2 tires. And this is where we're really going to start seeing the strategy play out. It's at the end of stage 1 going to stage 2. We start seeing guys take 2 tires. We see guys take 4 tires. We see guys being quick on fuel. We see teams just getting enough fuel in with the 2 tires to get back out there because they know they're going to have to make another pit stop in stage 2 anyways. 7 cars stayed out. And as a result of that, Tyler Reddick and Michael McDowell take over the front row to start stage 2. And Reddick and McDowell, like I said, they're starting out front. Reddick actually beats McDowell off the start, and he ends up taking the lead. And Joe Hunter Nemechek is in that mix right there because he's one of the 7 that stayed out. He actually he was having a good race today. And he ends up working underneath Reddick, and he ends up taking the lead from Reddick. So it was a nice bit of an exciting start for stage 2. And then we get a really weird caution. Corey Ware of Rick Ware Racing loses his left rear tire, and this thing goes bouncing down the backstretch and ends up in the infield grass. I got a little clip of that one.
Not sure how this is a caution. I mean, he can still drive.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it a caution either, unless there was more debris on the track because the tire completely came off.
Was.
But you guys can definitely decide here. Check this out.
Has come out. We saw the 15. And it looked as though Cody Ware had a tire going down. Sure enough, the carcass is now off of that car.
Yeah, another flat left rear. We've heard the 17 has had a couple of these. This is another Ford. And then the actual
you see him. He's just there goes.
Comes off, putting debris.
That's why the caution came out.
We saw the 15.
At the very end there, you saw the debris come off. That's definitely why we ended up having the caution there. You don't see a lot of that in Indianapolis. I don't remember seeing a lot of that. But again, these are new tires for this track that they haven't ran before. So a little bit different.
Weren't they doing the soft tires or something on this track? I saw something this week earlier from NASCAR. They're either going to do soft or premier tires, something like that.
When they go to Martinsville.
It's Martinsville. Okay.
They're going to have a soft, but they're going to have the standard tire, and then they're going to have a softer compound tire to run. They're going to have options. This is something that they're talking about that's going to be in racing all of next year. I'm sure that those tires will never get used on super speedways. It would make absolutely 0 sense, but I can see them definitely being used on the mile tracks and the short tracks. So that brings out a little bit of a caution. And at this point, Nemechek and the rest of the leaders, or most of the leaders that were stayed out, head down pit lane. It's just time. You got to get tires. You got to get fuel. And what's a better time than during a caution? Even though this track is such a big track and they're running 50 to 52 second laps, that's a long time. If you guys don't think about it, that pit lane is really, really long in Indianapolis, and it's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, and it's tight. So if you can go down without everybody else on pit road, that's going to minimize your options or your chances for getting hung up or banged up on pit lane, which is obviously something you always want to avoid. Excuse me. So Larson actually ends up having a little bit of trouble because he goes down pit lane here and he loses the wheel. Slows him down a little bit. Obviously, no big deal. It's Hendricks, so they always have a chance to get back in it, don't they? I mean, that's the way that NASCAR writes this script. But Kyle Busch and Todd Gilliland end up on the front row, and so it was like 11 cars came down pit road because by the time everybody cycles back through, Nemechek's restarting in 12th. Or I guess 11 cars that didn't go down pit road, excuse me. When the green flag drops here, Kyle Busch is clear into turn 1, and Bubba is with him because he passes William Byron. And this is where things get a little bit interesting. We get our first big accident. I got a couple different videos of this one. It's a bang up. I mean, I can tell you all day long how I think it happened and worked out, but we'll let you just watch the clip and see for yourself.
Shot of it, Steve.
It was Ryan Priest's fault.
Stop it right there. Stop it right there. So the 14 car, they are touching those two cars, the 24 and the 14. Right. They're hitting each other there.
Do-do-do-do-do.
And still contact. And here comes the 41. And he makes contact. It's just those three cars trying to go in the same spot. But it started with the 14 of Briscoe and Byron making contact. It's a great shot.
And then, so I got that one for you guys. And then,
Good thing Josh Berry taking over the 21.
oh, I know, right? And you know, I said I wanted him to join Penske. Hey, he's not with Penske, but he's as close as he can get because of the affiliation the Wood brothers have with the Penske team. So he's kind of going to be like, he's already one of my drivers, so he'll be like a fourth driver for me now. But here's another view of it.
Said, well, you just want to be the front of your strategy. Oh, man, big wreck.
Oh, and hit
Look
again.
at this.
Oh,
boom.
That's a 24 of William Byron. AJ Allmendinger in the 16 involved as well.
You know. And that's why I said the 24 was not going to win the 30th anniversary of the Brickyard race.
I actually thought William Byron got more hurt than he did.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised he didn't. Just to watch
and hit again.
Spin.
Exactly.
William Byron, AJ Allmendinger in the
because I guess the AMR team came up and he wasn't out or anything, and then I guess they said, oh well, he already communicated to his team that he was good. I was like, oh, okay, good, because no one said anything for like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, I think he was just more disappointed and upset than anything. This is another clip of the same thing. This is the in-car clip. You guys know I love these. So I want to show you guys this one as well. Allmendinger on top, Priest on the bottom. Tap, hook. I really do love these clips. I think they're awesome.
These are nice.
I've always liked the in-car cameras. I think they're neat. And they've gotten so good where they're so clear. Can you remember them back in the late 90s, early 2000s?
A little bit, vaguely.
They were junk. They were junk. But you know, you can only do what you could do with the technology back then, that's for sure. So we get through that. That's obviously a big caution. Busch actually ends up in the pits, and almost everybody else stays out because they just came off a couple, like, we had stage change, obviously pitting. We had an accident, there was some pitting. Another accident right on the restart. Kyle Busch is the only one to go down. At this point, did you think that was it for him? Did you just like, okay, you're by yourself down pit lane, this is just going to dig you a hole you're not going to get out of, or were you good with this pit stop?
No, I was fine with it because he was actually running a pretty good race, even in stage 3. I think at one point, he was 7th, 8th. So I didn't have a problem with it. Plus, I think he's won back-to-back Brickyard 400, so he knows what he's doing. I mean, granted, it was with the Skittles Joe Gibbs cars, but he knows what he's doing. So yeah, I had no problem with it.
My only problem with it was going to put him back in the field.
True,
and getting this late in the race though, things get dicey. So that's why I was like, man, I would have pushed it longer if I could, or waited for another caution. That was just me. And maybe he had to pit. There was no option, and that's just where things settled. But that was one where I was like, dude, you're up there. Why? So yes, I was just curious. I mean,
no, I was cool with it. Again, he knows what he's doing, but then again, he's not with Joe Gibbs, but he's a veteran on this track.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 19 years he's been out here. He's raced this track at least 15. So when Busch goes to the pits, it gives Bubba Wallace the lead, and green flag drops, and it's Wallace and it's Elliott, and I'm sitting here going, Wallace is toast. Well, he was driving a good race. That's all I can say about it. He was driving a good race. He ends up holding off Elliott, and with 2 to go, now we see a bunch of more cars head down pit lane. So again, we're back to the strategy effect of it. We don't know how many cautions are going to be the rest of the race. We don't know exactly what's going to go on. So guys are going to go down and take that time to pit to gain some track position going into stage 3. Bubba Wallace wins the stage. Chase Elliott gets second. Denny Hamlin third. Ryan Blaney fourth. John Hunter Nemechek 5th, Tyler Reddick 6th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 7th, Martin Truex Jr. 8th, Christopher Bell 9th, and Chase Briscoe 10th. So
and Bubba needed that.
Oh yeah, he needed it bad because he needs those points.
So So as I'm still looking, I don't know if it's updated yet for Nat. Oh yeah, it is updated. So he's actually -7 right now, still 17th over Ross Chastain for the 16th spot.
You're gonna love this. I have it updated already.
Oh dang it!
It's all right. I was putting in work before the show, man. I was hoping that since the race got done
Well,
so
usually,
earlier,
yeah, because usually NASCAR takes a while on their website, and they keep up with the same old stats. So I was actually curious, but yeah, no, I mean, listen, Bubba's a good driver. There's nothing against him, but it's just certain like road courses he's not good at. He just doesn't have that confidence. But I think after when I think Kevin Harvick talked to him after Chicago, I think now he's starting to get his groove back.
I hope so. If I've been a defender of him this year. I was very critical of his actions after Chicago. I thought it was boneheaded. I think I was more upset because I backed him so much this year and been so complimentary of him. And for him to lose his cool, just like any of us could, but to lose his cool at that point in that situation really bothered me because I really thought he was growing up and maturing. And that to me was a big red flag. But it is what it is. Like I said, the guy's human just like anybody else. I'm sure that if I was wrecked when I was having a good race in a place like Chicago, I'd be upset about it too. I just think I would have handled it different. We're not backtracking to talk about this, guys, but the guy did have like Aaron mentioned, he had a good conversation with Harvick. He said that was probably one of the best things that happened to him because it helped him reset center and refocus with 5 races left. He had a good race today. He's staying within points contention, as you can see across the bottom during with the scroller. So, let's start talking about the final stage 3. I mean, did you think stage 3 was going to get crazy?
Not like this.
The
only one was crazy was the Logano win at Nashville. That was the craziest, but
yeah,
I didn't think it was going to be like that.
That's going to be the craziest finish of the year, I'm sure. If anything else touches it, I'll be surprised. I mean, we've had the 2 races where they finished by milliseconds or whatever it was. But that one was just 6 overtimes was excessively awesome. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was fun. But let's get into stage 3. And Wallace is still in the lead. Obviously, he takes almost every leader down pit lane to this point, but Denny Hamlin stays out with a few others. And when I say a few others, Wallace ended up restarting 19th. He lost a couple spots on pit road. But it was funny because when you got back to the restart, it was Hamlin and Nemechek were back up on the front row again.
I was pulling for Nemechek a little bit.
Row again. Never up this late in a race.
Shout out to their pit crew.
Yeah, for sure. And he stayed clean all day. And then, one of his owners was there racing with him today. So I'm sure there was a little bit more incentive to show my boss that I can do this job. But no, yeah, Nemechek probably had his best race he's had all season up until we got to the end of the race. But the green flag drops on stage 3, and Denny Hamlin he clears him before they even get to turn 1. Like, he didn't need turn 1; he was already gone. And at this point, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. jumps behind him and takes second away from Nemechek, and Nemechek starts falling back. So this is kind of the beginning of the end for Nemechek with his highs we just wore on him, and Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. a few laps later are jockeying for position, and
intentional or not?
I don't know, man. This one, listening to the radio, Truex Jr. was mad at Ross Chastain. The bump from Ross Chastain to me seems to happen more on the backstretch. It looked like to me that Larson got a little loose, wiggled, and tapped Truex Jr. and put Truex Jr. into the wall here, which then ends up creating another accident behind him where Josh Berry ends up hitting the wall all at the same time. I've got a couple different clips for this one as well. So hold on, let me see how many I got here. I got 2 of these. We're going to watch them from 2 different angles. One's long, one's pretty quick. So we'll do the long one first. But let me get it up here for y'all. And here we go.
I think, as well as Blaney. That's the idea. So if you're good on fuel, always we saw smoke on the 19.
The 19 into the wall. It looked like the left rear tire went down.
And right back here.
Oh, and another wreck behind him. The 4.
Totally unrelated.
Josh Berry gets into the wall.
Just happened to show up.
Reaction.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to
Looks
see
like Gibbs gave him a
this
little bit of a
racetrack
nudge.
in front when things start happening. Everybody's single file. It's just very difficult to know what's going on.
It looked to me like the left rear tire blew. We saw that little bit of smoke.
He done.
For the 19.
And they make contact. It was 3 wide for a moment.
At least Martin could
This was
still
the
like
19
race after this, which is good.
He says it was the
One car. Ross Chastain. Truex is running
wasn't the
inside
one
the top 5. Chastain's running 6. Jeff, let's look.
Here we go.
So
Here's
watch
what I
down the
want
back
to show you.
straightaway. They're all contesting this spot. Larson trying to make a move here, contact, and then right here, that puts him 3 wide. Chastain tries to roll.
Chastain never
them,
touches him.
and the contact's there. With Larson, I don't know.
It was a one
I
car
think
per
the
usual.
One car all the way back to hit him on the straightaway. I believe the
This is-
19
yeah,
now
here
has
it
the
is,
tire
watch.
going down.
See
Unless
Larson
that's
wiggle.
The contact
Yeah,
with the
loses
5.
the
I
back
don't know, 'cause
end.
there was
That's
contact
it.
with the 1 earlier.
Yeah, I think that this wreck is because of the contact with the 5.
Right.
It's never good when we have to dissect which contact caused the wreck.
Yeah, see, he's in there and he's got good pace. He's able
Yeah.
to keep pace, and then there's contact here. Right there is contact. And that gets him up the racetrack.
Yep.
And now he's along for the ride. I'm not sure
boom.
tire's down.
Yeah, so he said the 1 car.
He's
So I
pointing
was
the
looking
finger at the 1.
Well, I was looking at the Chastain, but I'm with you, Jeff, right? And then the contact that we saw was with the 5. Then the 4 kind of gets turned around.
So I had to give you guys the long clip because there's no individual clip of Barry getting spun out. It was all about the Truex spin and just Barry being captured in it. So we watched that enough. I don't need to show you guys this other clip. But he says in that clip that it was the number 1 car as usual that sent him around.
That's right.
It wasn't the Watermelon Man. I'm sorry. It just wasn't. It was unfortunate for Truex Jr. there. He hits the wall. It doesn't end his day right there, but it definitely takes him out of the winning or the opportunity to win the race unless the entire rest of the field would go down. Josh Berry was out at that point from the race. From what I understand, no major injuries. Everybody was fine. So we get that caution cleaned up, and it isn't much later, and we get another caution. And this one's a little different. They literally go green, and they end up going 3 wide. Ryan Blaney gets hooked. Joey Logano gets touched.
Damn Hemrick.
Spun, spins out Jimmy Johnson. All into turn 1. Blaney ends up saving his car, so he gets to stay in the race. He had very minimal damage.
I don't know how he saved that, but
Dude, I don't know either.
That's
We're going to pull this clip up here too. But it's Carson Hocevar that starts this issue. Like, this is becoming I don't want to say problem, but it's becoming a very common occurrence that Carson Hocevar is finding himself in the middle of wrecks in stage 3. Are you noticing this, or is this just me?
I thought this was Hemrick, but you might have a little tinfoil hat on your. No, I actually this one I didn't even notice it was Hocevar. I thought it was Daniel Hemrick. I thought he got a little loose and then hit in a Nemechek. The hit into the wall, which created that, because that's what I thought. I didn't think Carson Hocevar on this one. But I could be wrong.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up. I'm pretty sure this car right here, this is Hocevar. I thought. I'm pretty sure it's Hocevar, but we're about to find out. If it's 77, it's Hocevar. So here's Blaney, here's Logano, here's Larson. We'll just play it now.
A lot of 3 wide guys blocking.
There's Jimmy Johnson.
The 12.
Yeah, that's Hocevar.
12 was sideways. Looks like he hit someone.
Yeah, but watch right here. See that in
Here, watch.
3
Right
quarters
here.
of the way back, Hocevar in the middle trying to make it 3 wide.
Oh,
They're coming
yes.
to the corner.
Yes.
Everybody's got to start slowing down and trying to get
So Austin
to their line. Blaney
Ryan
doesn't
Blaney
know he's there, pinches him
100
off.
bumps there.
A lot of
Chase
3
Elliott
wide
gets
guys
the-
blocking.
So this was right off the restart.
77.
I mean,
12.
just an absolute shame. Rookie makes a rookie mistake. It's part of racing. I'm not going to go crucify the kid over it, but you got to know when you can go push 3 wide and when you can't. And in Indianapolis, with these cars, there's not enough data on these cars at this track. You can't be pushing 3 wide. It's
especially around that area. I thought for some reason Hemrick hit Nemechek into the wall right there at the pit lane. That's why I didn't think Hocevar. I forgot it was past that.
No, you're all right. You're all right. It happens. There's a lot going on, and we got other things going on besides just NASCAR. Zoom, boogity, boogity, boogity. But anyways, so caution comes back out again, so we get more caution laps, and this is going to kind of lead to where we talk about Brad Keselowski a little bit later, because Brad Keselowski pitted on like lap 102, so he was almost going to be forced to pit again before the end of the race because he just wasn't going to be able to make it on fuel. But all these cautions are adding up to where he's going to save fuel for the end of the race. But anyways, at this point, Hamlin is in the lead, and he pits, and he takes a lot of cars with him. And Nemechek and Watermelon Man stay out to take over the front row. Hamlin ends up back in 18th on the restart here. Again, this is all coming back to strategy. We've had guys pitting all over the place, taking 2 tires, 4 tires differences. It's just been a different kind of an oval race than normal, especially for a super speedway. We do usually see some strategy, but this has been strategy for 2 straight stages, and lots of different strategies through this race. And I don't think any of the risky strategies actually paid off here. Let's just be honest.
No.
By the time we got to the end of the race, it wasn't somebody who rolled the dice, got the win. That's just not how it ended up working. But we get to the green flag, and like I said, it's Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man, and Joe Hunter Nemechek are going out for the lead. And it's pretty calm for a little bit. Really, it is. And then with about 39 laps to go, that's okay. It was calm because we were under caution. Sorry. We go back green with about 39 laps left, and we get another caution at lap with 36 left to go. Martin Truex Jr. spins out again.
And he just got off of being -2 laps, I think, at this point. I was like, yes, he's back in, and then this happens.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, it's like he can't have any good luck this year trying to get into the playoff.
He should never said he was going to retire.
Yeah, that's kind of did him in. It seems like he's just going to be on a farewell tour now. But so we get guys who haven't pitted yet at this point, and this goes back to more strategy. Gragson, Hocevar, Keselowski, and Blaney still haven't pitted. Gragson and Hocevar at this point actually head down pit lane. This gives Keselowski the lead. And here's where things start to get a little bit more interesting. When the green flag redrops, Keselowski and Hemrick are up front. Keselowski clears Hemrick with 16 to go now. This is just standard racing back and forth. Nothing really exciting happening here. Just a lot of drafting, guys using the aero blocking to hold positions and work their way through the field. It's become a fuel mileage race because you got all these guys who are playing strategy, waiting for cautions, and it just never worked because you didn't see the whole. You weren't seeing the whole lot of the cars come down at the same time. So that's why the strategy plays working out this time. You weren't picking up the speed. Everybody was pitting on their own because everybody was playing strategy from the get-go in this race. So most of the leaders are going to hit the pit. Keselowski doesn't. Larson doesn't need to because he just pitted in one of those previous cautions, so he was good on fuel at the end of the race, and that's where his strategy ends up working out. He played it safe this time, didn't take a roll of dice in a risky move, but he starts when he gets to restart. He's up to like 7th or 8th, I think, to restart the race, and he starts moving quick as soon as the green flag drops. Excuse me, guys. I'm so sorry about my voice tonight. With 12, 13 laps left, it was right before we got to 10 laps left. Larson is working, and he is moving
plus 19. He was at 22, and then at that point, he moved up 19 spots.
So it's with 10 laps left. He makes this big move on Denny Hamlin. I got short.
Loved
I know
it.
typically I'm just showing I'm just typically showing accidents and whatnot. I want to show this pass. This is definitely from his time in the Indy car back in May. Just watch how the pass goes and watch how he handles his car. This is totally an open wheel.
So you see Hamlin now not only looking out his camera. Oh,
There we
no.
go. See that time right there, what Larson did was he lifted early. Hamlin drove in deep. Hamlin got tight behind Hemrick. Larson had forward momentum on corner exit. That is great driving by Larson.
That's an IndyCar move. That's not a NASCAR move. I'm telling you guys right now. He got that. I mean, he's had it in his it's in his tool pocket. I mean, he's got it. But it's not something we typically see out of NASCAR, that go to the high, cut back down low, and go. Not with that kind of dramatic flair, I would call it. It was a quick move. It was a good move. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Once he did that, it was all over. Because he did the exact same thing to get in the third. And I was like, I didn't realize you took it. I was like, oh, no, a Hendrick win.
And, you know, I don't like picking the Hendricks guys. And I wanted Larson this week, but I didn't want to pick him because I thought he was the favorite. So that's why I went with Chase. And I wish I would have picked him now at this point. But, yeah, he gets around Hamlin. That's with like 10 laps left. And he's just a man on the mission driving to the front. With 9 laps to go, Keselowski, who still hasn't pitted, who at this point, by the commentators' math, he's like 53 laps into fuel.
And he's speeding up. You could tell, too, because Ryan Blaney was starting to creep up on him. And he was like, all right, let me speed up to get this dub. Because he was really running out of gas at this point.
Yeah, because he had like a 4/10 of a second lead over Blaney at this point. And Blaney shrunk it to 2, and then he stretched, or 2/10, and then he stretched it back out to 4/10. And Blaney, yeah, but Blaney during this point, he was trying to save a little bit of fuel because he was going to be close to the end too. But he works his way around Hemrick at this point, and it's Keselowski. Blaney's chasing Keselowski, and then Larson is on Blaney's tail at this point. So, I mean, these 3 guys are going at. We know it's going to be one of these 3. My bet at this point is Keselowski's going to run out of fuel somewhere, and it's going to be Blaney and Larson down the drag, and it's going to be Larson to win because I just think he's got a better car than Blaney right now. Blaney's on a little bit of an older tire as well, so Larson can run a little bit harder, and Blaney's still probably trying to save a little bit of fuel at this point where Larson's good to go to the end of the race. I mean, he was good to go for probably 3 or 4 overtimes. He had enough fuel in there. So 4 laps to go. Blaney is blocking Larson left and right. Good, clean racing here. Exactly what we want to see on the super speedways. Larson's playing it super clean. He's not doing any bumping or nudging. And we're getting down to 3 laps left. And we get an accident. And we always seem to get an accident inside of 5 laps to go. But this time it's
and
Rowdy.
Guess who it
Rowdy,
was?
I mean, when you watch this one, it's not really anybody's fault but Rowdy's himself. I mean, it's him and Hamlin are next to each other. It looks pretty clean. It just looks like, to me, that Busch gets a little loose, slides up the track, and makes some contact. So,
and he was running 7th, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good spot.
Busch, he was doing fine, and then he got real close to Denny Hamlin.
He just needed to finish, and it just didn't happen for him. There's a little bump. He gets sideways.
Contact. Yeah. 11.
It's been that kind of year. Kyle Busch just cannot have anything go right. And see how low he enters?
That's 43
see his car coming up the
races where
racetrack?
he's not won a race.
His entry was so low because of the block that he wasn't able to make the corner. And that's what I kept talking about Blaney. What he was able to do is enter that low and still stay on the bottom.
So that was obviously a good clip. We like those clips. But yeah, he just gets loose and loses it. I got another one of it here. And this is from behind, so we can see it a little bit differently. Let me get this one up for you guys. Credit of NBC.
To 160 laps. Now there's going to be more. Let's ride along.
This is, again, just what we just saw, but wait for the next part of the clip.
Oh, contact. Yeah. 11.
Oh, it's been that kind of year. Kyle Busch.
He just couldn't get the wheel to work back.
Just cannot have anything go right. And see how low he enters? See his car coming up the racetrack? His entry was so low because of the block that he wasn't able to make the corner. And that's what I kept talking about Blaney. What he was able to do is enter that low and still stay on the bottom.
This is what I wanted you to see.
Up the racetrack.
Yeah.
It's just such an
slides.
early entry.
But that shows you how good of a job the 12 is doing.
Exactly.
To
So, yeah, just another little view there. I want to give you guys another look at it there.
And
So
also,
this
he
quick-
has 1 more year at RCR, just for everyone. He can't go anywhere. His
contract has 1 more year on it. We'll see what happens. So we're heading into overtime again, and how do you feel about these overtimes, man? Be honest. Do you like it? I think it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, 3 laps to figure out who wins. This was just an odd overtime. This one was just weird. I didn't expect the strategy because of what happened with the caution. I understand this driver, he's won here before, but it just didn't make sense. And we're going to discuss it right now.
Well, yeah. So let's get to the first overtime. We're coming around for overtime. Keselowski still hasn't pitted yet. And as the cars are coming to the line, Keselowski dumps behind the pit car
Yes.
to get to pit lane because he has run out of fuel. So at this point, Blaney is prepping as he is the number 2 car to the line. He has to wait for Keselowski to go. Keselowski dumps at the last minute. Now Blaney is first man to get to the line. And I'm not going to say he screwed the pooch here, but, within 200 yards of the start, you got to completely switch your strategy that you were not prepared for, which I blame his crew chief for this one. They should have kind of had they probably should have prepped a little bit better for the case that was coming up that Keselowski could run on fuel at any given time. So it's Larson and Blaney come to the line side by side into turn 1. Nemechek ends up throwing a block at Hemrick into turn 1. These 2 guys get sideways and they end up getting hooked. And they hit the inside wall at the exit of pit lane. They bounce back up across the track and take more cars out with them. Hamlin's involved in this one. Yeah, so your guy's done at this point. Briscoe gets involved. Bowman gets involved. We get a caution. And again, this is right off the start for the restart. I got a good clip here for it. It's a short one, so we'll get this one up. Like I said, it's a quick one, so pay attention.
And a wreck in turn 1. The caution comes out. There'll be another restart.
Yeah, for the 4th
car
time
bouncing.
today, we've seen a big
He's on
pile up
airbags.
on the restart.
There's Denny Hamlin.
Involved in the 42. There's Denny Hamlin, who had just come to pit road. He's involved.
You got a red flag on this one because there was so much debris on the track. They had to get it cleaned up, and it was just a nasty wreck. It wasn't a good one. It wasn't a bad one. It just was inconvenient. So we end up getting to do a second overtime start. And again, it's Larson and Blaney are out front side by side, but Larson wins the battle right off the turn here in this one. And Reddick goes with him too. And Blaney falls back to third at this point. So it's at this point, you're kind of know Larson's got it. All he's got to do is he's in clean air. He's going to get it.
Oh, yeah.
But we have a caution. We have another caution.
Or do we?
Do we?
Ryan
Preece ends up getting spinning out behind him.
Goddamn Ryan Preece.
And ends up hitting a wall. And this one's a little bit more controversial because he's stuck. And this is where I think they should have thrown a caution flag. We should have had a third overtime restart, in my personal opinion. But I think they wanted to make sure Larson got this W. I also
think, too, because Ryan Preece was moving, so they thought, okay, well, he should be good. And I think they saw that his tire blew.
Yeah, but once you get the tires flat, it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I believe this one was handled incorrectly. Let me make sure I got the right clip up here first. Oh, hold on. You know what? Never mind. Forget it.
I mean, the vice president of NASCAR said that what they did, I think, was fine for them to end this race because of what happened to Ryan Preece.
I don't dig it. Here it is.
Oh! Spinner on the back stretch, and is he going to make contact? He does with the inside wall. We'll see if he continues to roll. They stay green if that car will continue to roll.
Oh, he's trying to roll.
That's Ryan Preece, and he is trying to roll, but he's got a flag.
Larson here has the big lead. I mean, there's no catch.
4, will they see the white flag? Larson in front, Reddick running second. One more time around.
Still no caution. So now the race is over.
And the 41 still isn't moving.
I don't see any way NASCAR late from race 5.
There it is.
Larson's going to do it.
Absolutely
Larson is going to win the Brickyard 400.
I thought what was funny about this is that they had Chase Elliott in 4th, and then he actually
He
finished
started
10th.
to roll. He
I was like,
couldn't
that's a little bit of a
continue.
difference.
The caution comes out after they had received the white
But
flag.
you know what though,
And Kyle
Tyler
Larson
Reddick, I
gets
think
his
the last
27th career
5
victory, and
races, he should have at least won 3 of them. This is one of them. I think he could have beat Larson if this was a caution.
If they would have thrown a caution, I think he totally would have had a chance. I really do. And I think it would have put Blaney back into it for the mix at the end. And I think we could have had a very dramatic, very Indy 500-ish finish with 3 cars back to back crossing the line. I disagree with the call with NASCAR here. I think the flag should have been when his tires were obviously flat before Larson crossed the start finish line for the white flag. So in my opinion, caution should have been thrown. We should have had one more overtime restart, but that's not the way NASCAR felt on this one. For me, it was disappointing. But hey, I'm not the guy they're trying to please either, so it doesn't really
And
matter.
I forgot that Rick Hendrick was in the can't even think right now. He was the honorary what do you call those cars?
The pace car.
Yeah, pace car, yeah. Whew. Can't even think. Yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, that should be a Hendrick win.
Well, it definitely was. I knew I had the clip of Keselowski running out of fuel. I know we already
It
covered
was
that,
just so weird. I'm like, if you knew you're gonna run out, just take the pit at that caution, and he didn't. It almost gave me 2020 Coca-Cola 600 Chase Elliott vibes, where he could have had that win, but he pitted when he's pretty much gonna run out of gas. And I think Kyle Busch won that one, or he came in second, but it was like him and Kyle Busch like neck and neck at that one. Because it almost felt like
I had this one. I just want to show it. We're not going to show.
Yeah.
The whole, I just want to show the part.
Yeah, it was just stupid. I don't understand that.
Here's Keselowski. Here's the pace car. Just kind of watch this.
6 is close.
He just
And
nails on with it.
he's out. So the 5 moves forward into the front row. It's overtime. Presented by Credit One Bank. Blaney on the outside. Larson on the inside.
Look at him stacked for the bunch for the push.
Back in the air.
And Blaney just missed it.
2
It just is
laps
what it
of
was.
racing in Indy. Who else is going to run out?
Here's that other accident. Oh, dang.
There's the Hemrick with the Nemechek.
And a wreck in turn 1. The caution comes out. There'll be a.
But you can kind of see
going to run out.
right here where they hit the wall. Boink. And they cut the camera on. The camera doesn't stay with it. But yeah, I want to show that to you just because I did have it in the hopper and I missed it.
The Logano one was good too. The one he wrecked.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that was it. Larson ends up getting the win by default because NASCAR decides to throw the caution stupid late. And because there was 1 lap left and he'd already taken the white flag and the caution came out, Larson wins the race. Reddick does kind of get hosed again. The Chicago race, he got hosed on because it was his fault. Let's be honest. He nicked that wall.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, that's on him. That's not just bad luck. But let's give you guys the rundown for the finishing order of the race. Kyle Larson does get the W. Tyler Reddick in second. Ryan Blaney gets third. Christopher Bell fourth. Bubba Wallace ends up fifth. Todd Gilliland sixth. Austin Cindric, who started in the back of the field, finishes seventh. Daniel Suarez gets eighth. I got Bubba Wallace in there twice, so I got a typo. My fault. Somewhere I'm
I was gonna say
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was 10th. Daniel Suarez 11th. Hold on. Let me get to my notes because I might have messed this up. Hold on.
Well, if we're talking about the results, so Larson 1, Reddick 2, Ryan Blaney 3, Christopher Bell 4, Bubba finished 5th. Good for him. Todd Gilliland 6th, Cindric finished 7th, Daniel Suarez is 8th, Noah Gragson 9th, Chase Elliott, my man, finished 10th, Ricky Stenhouse 11th, Hocevar 12th, Austin Dillon top 15, finished 13th. Corey LaJoy, the man, the myth, the legend, 14th. Watermelon Man, 15th. Ross Chastain. Michael McDowell finished in the top 20, 16th. Zane Smith, yeah, for real. Zane Smith, 17th. Cody Ware, 18th. Ty Dillon, 19th. Justin Haley, 20th. And then our man, Brad Keselowski, finished 21st. Chris Buescher, 22nd. Ty Gibbs, 23rd. Briscoe, the other Chase, finished 24th. Kyle, 25th. Ryan Preece, 26th. and then it goes Truex, Eric Jones. I didn't hear much of Eric Jones. That's a little surprising. John Hunter Nemechek 29th. Hemrick, Bowman, Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, Josh Berry, Burton, Allmendinger, William Byron, and BJ McLeod, who was out, I think, after lap 15. Didn't know what happened with that, but he finished last.
He did what he always does. He shows that he takes up a starting spot and then doesn't ever finish the race well. I don't know what happened with my notes there. Thank you so much for having them on the back end for me. I'm going to have to.
Gotta come prepared.
I hit a button wrong when I was doing that or something. I don't know.
Happens. But there is a driver coming up in the Cup. Mr. Cole Custer has returned. He has returned. And Ryan Preece, the guy who pretty much caused an accident and then got him an accident. And then he's going down to the 0 car in the Xfinity Series for Cole Custer. Yep. And then I don't know if this is true. Haley Deegan is taking the 98 car in the Xfinity. Not sure what's going on with that situation.
I heard that too.
Yeah, hopefully she's in a Toyota. I don't know if the 98's Toyota. I don't really watch that much Xfinity, but I think she'll do better with the Toyota program that Kevin Harvick was saying rather than the Ford. I guess Ford is just crap. We're trying to teach drivers.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, you don't see a lot of guys have great success in Ford when they first get into it. I mean, Josh Berry was much better last year in the Chevys than he was in the Ford this year. Not that he's been bad in the Fords, but I mean, he came on the scene last year filling in for Chase Elliott, and he was lightning. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's just like any other sport where you got minor leagues where teams have to develop players and make them better. We see it in hockey a lot of times. And I bring up hockey because, I mean, that's your other sport. And we see guys who, didn't do so well with one organization. They get traded because they just need a restart, and they get to another organization that does better with development, and all of a sudden this guy turns into a player.
Well, it's fun that you say that, too. I believe this is also a rumor, not sure how true. Corey Heim time in the Truck Series, I heard might be going 23-11 next year.
I've heard that as well.
Some capacity. Yeah, so I'm not sure what's going to play out with that, but we'll just look out for that rumor.
Well, apparently, I've heard a bunch of rumors this week.
Exactly. So I was like,
Penske has an affiliation with Wood Brothers.
Yep, which we all know.
They're two different teams, but they work together. Apparently, 2311 is hooking up with somebody in the offseason. And I heard Trackhouse maybe hooking up with somebody in the offseason to be affiliated.
Interesting, because Trackhouse, I don't think has been doing that well this season.
I mean, Perez is in the playoffs and Watermelon Man's in right now.
Maybe I'm thinking of Spire.
Spire.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, Trackhouse is. I think Trackhouse is on the up and up. I think you get rid of Suarez as much as I like him. You got to find somebody who's a little bit more of a consistent racer, who's not just like a road track specialist. Because that's what
Juan Pablo Montoya.
Oh, that was a mistake. That was a mistake.
The target car, Juan Pablo.
You can't even get started on that. Juan Pablo Montoya, fantastic racer, by the way. I just didn't like him in NASCAR. But no, I mean, there's gonna be a lot in the offseason. Like we're gonna cover a little bit in the offseason with all the changes that are gonna happen. But as of right now, we get 2 weeks off. You guys get 2 weeks off. NASCAR gets 2 weeks off. This is different than what we normally get to see. Obviously, it's the Olympics, and so we will be back. I don't think we're going to be back on August 11th. I think we're going to come back on August 12th.
Yeah, because that's Richmond, right?
That's Richmond on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
It's the Cookout 400. It's 400 laps. I mean, if that track goes, I just don't see that race getting done early. And I don't think you want to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning doing coverage. So I think we're going to come back on August 12th, and we'll run at either 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock that Monday night. We will recap the Richmond race. We will get you ready for the Michigan race. And then obviously we'll be coming to Daytona. We are coming up to the end of the regular season. There are 4 races left. Let me give you guys that rundown real quick. Like I said, that's the Cookout 400 at Richmond. We have the Firekeepers Casino 400 in Michigan. We got the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona. And then we get the Cookout Southern 500 at Darlington. And then the playoffs begin. And then the race is on. No pun intended. We already got guys who are clinched and that are in for the playoffs. We got guys on the outside looking in. If we didn't go through that, Larson's in first, Bell's in second, Denny Hamlin's in third, William Byron is in fourth, Ryan Blaney is in fifth. Let me see who else we got. Reddick's in sixth. Cindric, by virtue of his win at WWT, is in seventh and made the playoffs. Chase Elliott is in eighth. This confounds me how Chase Elliott isn't higher than Austin Cindric in the playoff points right now. Joey Logano is in ninth. Brad Keselowski 10th. Bowman's locked in at 11th. Daniel Suarez is locked in at 12th. Martin Truex is in right now in 13th. Ty Gibbs is in right now at 14th. Buescher is got a foot out the door. He's in at 15th. Ross Chastain also has a foot out the door at 16th. And then Bubba Wallace is biting at their ankles. I think Chase Briscoe's too far away without a win. I think Kyle Busch is too far away by points, and Todd Gilliland, who's in 20th, is too far away in points. Now, obviously, a win makes a difference here and makes the race season bit tighter.
Kyle Busch could win at Michigan.
Oh, Kyle Busch can win at any race track.
He's done it before a few times in Michigan. I don't know. I'm trying to give him a little bit of hope here, but it's just not working out.
I feel like you're pulling for him, man.
Just a little.
You're pulling for him.
It's more or less like sad. It's sad what he has become with his new team.
Well, you know what? This just tells you that maybe the driver isn't as good as what we thought.
Interesting.
Teams do matter. Just saying. I'm just making an observation. I'm not saying it's a fact or it's true. Just making an observation. But no, like I said, 2 weeks off. Aaron gets a break. Doesn't have to see me for 2 weeks. I'm sure he's thrilled about that.
Also, too,
stretching that time.
Yeah, right. Also, too, I think we're both wearing red shirts unintentionally planned.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even notice.
Very unintentional.
I took a shower and threw on the first thing I found. You know, I mean, it is what it is.
I am curious though what's going to happen in the racing world, podcast wise. I watch a lot of racing podcasts, so I'm just curious what they're going to be doing as well. Like the big guns, pretty much. Like Zach Dale and all that. Well, Dale's been taking a lot of vacations, so that could be accurate.
I mean, you never know. But yeah, I'm excited for Richmond. It's going to be a great race.
Oh yeah.
If for some odd reason, I need one of my guys to win.
Well, Denny Hamlin's really good at Richmond, I believe. My memory serves.
Denny Hamlin's been good everywhere. He's got like 57 wins in his career. And he's got God knows how many top 5 and top 10 finishes. The dude's a beast. I mean, he is what he is. Nothing against him personally. He's a hell of a racer. He's not my guy. I don't root for him. Never have, never will. And he drives a Toyota, which makes it even harder for me to root for him.
I hear that.
I have a real hard time rooting for the non-domestic manufacturers. And y'all can come at me online for that. That's fine. That's just my thing. You know, I rooted. Yeah, I mean, that makes me work for Hendricks more than I root for the guys in Toyota cars. It's kind of odd, considering I can't stand Hendricks. But yeah, that's where I'm at on it. 2 weeks off. We come back for Richmond. Like I said, we're going to come back probably on the Monday night. Now, if something happens and that race finishes early and Aaron wants to go, I can go. It's fine. We can do instant reaction that night. So pay attention to the Twitter and the Facebook. That's what will let you know what our next show is going to be. But like I said, it will most likely be August 12th, Monday night. And that'll give us plenty of time to prep for it. And then we'll have a Sunday race again. The following week will be on August 18th. And then we'll have a Saturday night race on August 24th. So I'm sure we will go Sunday night that week. Unless it's something on the schedule that I'm not thinking about. So, Aaron, anything else before we cut loose? Before I tell you to go and enjoy your week?
Yeah, pretty much just like, subscribe, download, put the little bell in the corner for Variety Sports Network. They're doing some good things out there. I was a little shaken up with the 7th inning stretch on Thursday. Check out that episode. I definitely commented a good amount on that one. So that was a good show. But yeah, no, Variety Sports Network's doing a lot of good things. They got a lot of good shows coming up, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button on this show, comment anything, during the show or after the show, they will comment back whatever reaction you guys give us. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So give you guys the rundown for this week. Saturday Showdown, if you don't know, that's our college football show. They're going to be on Tuesday night. We'll have 7th inning stretch Thursday night. Wrecked with Ranger. We'll be doing our esports on Saturday night. He did WWE this week again. He was trying out some of the different game modes on the new WWE. So if you're a esports guy or you like video games, check out Wrecked with Ranger on the YouTube page. And then next Sunday, like I said, we won't be here next Sunday for Next Left Turn. We won't be here the Sunday after that for Next Left Turn. And the Sunday after that, we're not going to be here for the Next Left Turn. We're going to be on that Monday. Remember, August 13th, Next Left Turn will be back. Enjoy the Olympics, everybody. Support America. Let's go show what we're made of out there on the world stage. Y'all take care. God bless y'all. We'll see you in a couple weeks.